Welcome to the first episode of my podcast called 5 Things Wrong with the Jordan Documentary. Coming off this 10-part documentary series, I figured this would be a really good way to introduce my podcast. So the first thing I really want to talk about is Jordan calling Pippen selfish. That's like the first thing that immediately jumped out to me when watching the documentary. It was in the first 2 episodes, I believe. So, I mean, if you've watched this documentary, you clearly have seen that they haven't painted Pippen in a very good light. I mean, I know that Pippen did this to himself as well. You know, the famous sitting out for the last play, signing a dumb contract, holding out during the summer due to injury. I definitely get that. And I know Mike has said on multiple occasions there's no rings without Pippen, but then turns around and says Pippen's selfish for holding out during that summer for surgery. Listen, I've worked at multiple call centers. I know what a positive sandwich sounds like. Jordan was making $30 million and Pippen was making 2 to 3. And you have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to call this man selfish for taking care of his bottom line. Something that I'm going to get into later is the political issues. And he didn't want to get involved. Why didn't he want to get involved? Because he didn't want it to affect his bottom line. That's why he didn't want to get involved. So just moving on. The second one I really want to talk about, Scottie and Michael's treatment of Jerry Krause. So listen guys, I do find Jerry Krause insanely odd that he wanted to break up the team. I mean, they definitely still at least allow them the opportunity to defend their title, and go for that 7th championship. So I find him a little odd, but just think of it this way. He did put the team together. He hired Phil. He drafted Pippen, Horace, and Tony Kukoc. And both Michael and Scottie have every right to be upset with them. Of course, like, I'm not saying that they don't, but I just don't think I don't think belittling your general manager in front of everyone is really deserved. Insanely unprofessional, and I know this sounds really easy, like an easy thing to say, but if someone like LeBron James does that, I mean, this would be definitely a bigger deal, especially in this era of social media, right? Also, too, just thinking of it as like Jerry Krause, like I'm sure I don't know too much about like Jerry Krause a person, but obviously he loves sports, and the guy clearly has an eye for talent, right? Jerry, I'm sure, is competitive, and he just wanted the opportunity to prove that he could rebuild the team to a championship level. Was he wrong? Yeah, he was wrong. But this documentary is definitely overpainting him as the bad guy, and I just don't agree that this is all on him. But also at the same time, if I lived in the city of Chicago, trust me, I wouldn't really care about logic. I wouldn't care about reason. So I definitely understand why Jerry is hated 100%. I don't think it's all him. It's all on him. I definitely want to take this moment though to say that this podcast is sponsored by Anchor. So in case you don't really know what Anchor is, if you haven't heard about it, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. So I'm just going to explain to you like how it really works if you're interested in making a podcast. If you want to make a podcast about like sports, food, whatever the case may be, and you're looking at the tens of other thousands other podcasts that are talking about that particular subject, don't let that stop you, because those other people, those other shows, whatever the case may be, they're not you. So you could have a certain voice that attracts a certain audience. So I definitely wouldn't let that stop you from creating a podcast. Anchor makes it super easy. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone. So if you don't have a computer, you can edit the podcast right there from your phone. You can record your podcast right there from your phone. Or if you have a computer, you can do that on your desktop or laptop. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you. So it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just making it that much more easier for you, and many more. You can make money from your podcast. There's no minimum listenership. And so it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm just to get started. We get into like the last thing, thing that I find wrong with the Jordan documentary is I just want to bring up is Jordan's wife. I find it insanely odd that this documentary is a 10-part series, but Jordan never once mentioned his wife. So I've looked up a couple things about this. There's a couple YouTube videos about it, and on multiple videos, after they were married for about 3 months, Jordan often referred to her as the help. So, you know, why do I bring this up? How can you give us only certain access that you want to share? Like, it's basically like you being a biased opinion. Like, and I understand it's his documentary. He can do whatever he wants. But I guess, you know, when you're the executive director, you can truly do whatever you want. Last thing that I want to talk about is how Jordan treated his teammates. This is like the biggest thing. This is why I saved this one for last. I didn't want to go in any particular order. I remember Michael Jordan doing an interview saying that, you know, this might change some people's opinions on him. And I remember telling my wife, nah, I already know how serious and ruthless Jordan was. I definitely know how extreme he was. But this stuff is crazy. Like, I knew that Steve Kerr, first off, Steve Kerr sounds like an abused wife. Okay? Like, I'm glad it happened. I'm glad it happened. I earned Michael Jordan's respect. Bruh. I'm sorry, but I'm not taking a fucking punch to the face to get my homie's respect. And to also say that you may think I'm a tyrant, but that's because you never won anything. There have been multiple champions throughout the NBA. I mean, I'm Magic, Bird, Kareem. I mean, they didn't have to treat their teammates the way that he did in order to win. I mean, it's just not. They didn't have to do that. So that's just the way Mike was, and he won. So it was justified. And also somebody else I want to talk about is Horace Grant. I mean, if you've been living under a rock, the story is that Jordan told the cooking staff not to feed Horace Grant if he had a bad game. Listen, I don't want to be the guy to make waves. Obviously, it's easy to make the case that he's a GOAT. It's extremely easy to do. And that's not even my issue. My issue, and the reason why I wanted to make this video, is that Jordan played a certain way, and he won, that therefore his fans feel like that's how a player should be. You should be as ruthless as Jordan. You should be as cutthroat as Jordan, and sell your fucking soul and your newborn baby to get a fucking title. And that's just not how it works. You don't have to be like that. And he even says himself, you don't have to play like that. Think of it like this. If the ultimate goal of an athlete is to win a title, then we as everyday working people, what's our goal? Our goal is to really take care of our families and make as much money as possible. So how many of you listening left a job because of how you were treated, but you were getting paid good money? Winning a championship doesn't make you less of an asshole, and it doesn't make you less horrible. Just like in corporate America, the majority of people who leave good paying jobs are because of bad management. I'm Hendrix Live. Thank you for listening to my first episode, Let's Talk. You can follow me on Twitter at Hendrix Live TV. I also do live streams. I've been doing live streams for the past 2.5 years, going on 3 years here in December. So you can catch me on Facebook at Hendrix Live. So it'll be Facebook GG/Hendrix Live TV. I also have a YouTube channel, just Hendrix Live. I'll leave multiple links in the description. Appreciate you guys for listening. Like, comment, all that stuff. I'll read some comments on my next video. I'll read a couple comments because I already know that I'll probably get a couple Jordan stans in my comments.
Hey, I can't believe that you would say this stuff about Jordan. You're just hating on him.